Hello, hope you're in fine voice. Got a message here from Justin, and he says, I am especially aware of ageism. In other words, can you be too old to do voiceovers? And that's a very good question. Let's dive in and take a look. Justin's question is a very common one, actually. Lots of people contact me and say, am I too old to do voiceovers? In Justin's case, he mentions that he's been made redundant and he's, and all the stuff that goes with that, particularly if you are of a certain age. The answer really is that age is very important in voiceovers, but not in the way that you might think it is. So your voice age isn't always the same as your biological age. So you may be 65, but your voice may sound 40 or even 30s or whatever. Likewise, you may be in your 20s and sound like you're a middle-aged person, So voice age is important, but not in a kind of vanity way and not in an excluding way, but in the sense that it defines what you're selling. So in voiceovers, what we try and do is we give ourselves, or we ask our voiceover coaches to give us a voice description. And that describes what your voice sounds like in terms of its pitch, its tonal quality, the general feel and sound that your voice has. And of course, age is a very important element, along with things like any accent you might have or not have. It defines who we are and what we sound like, so that when a client is booking you, they know, before they've even listened to you, they've got a pretty good idea of what you might sound like. An example would be if you wanted, or the client wanted, a cool urban voice, they'd probably go for a younger style of voice, maybe late teens, early 20s, something like that. If they wanted a millennial voice, then certainly someone in their 30s would be ideal, late 20s, 30s. And if they wanted something more middle-aged, obviously, kind of 45 plus or whatever. And for a more mature sound that required a bit of gravitas, a bit of kind of lived-in sound, then definitely an older voice. That's what they would want. And you can do the same experiment with acting. Can't you? Watch TV, watch Netflix or whatever. See some of the dramas that are coming up, all the soap operas. You wouldn't get a young guy to play a granddad. It would be completely ridiculous. So there are roles for every voice type. So you can never be too old. You can never be too young, you could argue. But certainly you can never be too old to do voiceovers. Now, there is a sort of separate question, which I think is, and I don't think Justin was alluding to this, but there is another question, which is, of course, you've got to learn some new skills. And you may think, right, I'm too old now to learn them. I doubt it, because I think people can learn at any age, really. And, that learning how to record and edit and market your voice and so on. And so that's a sort of separate question, really. But I would say, no, you can definitely do that if you have the wherewithal, if you are motivated enough, you can certainly do it. But you can never be too old to do voiceovers, because there is a market for you out there somewhere. All right, thanks very much for watching today. Look after your voice and see you next time.